It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Finance Committee meeting. Roll call, Tom Barney.
Here.
Eric Brown.
Here.
And Michael Loth. I am here. Agenda revisions and approval.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Tom, second by Eric. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Item 4, approval of the minutes of May 19th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 19, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Eric Brown, second by Tom Barney. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 5, consent review and discuss June vouchers. I think there was at least one question.
I received one
Brittany
question.
Altendorf.
I received, am I on?
Yep.
Okay. I received one question. It was in regards to, I believe there was approximately 6 pages where you saw an expense and then you saw a credit back into the account. That was due to, we are doing some training in our department with a new employee, and when they printed the checks, they printed them backwards. So we just had a little training mishap, in which then the checks had to be voided and then reissued. So that's why you saw that they were expensed and then they were credited back, and later on you would have seen they were expensed again. So
Okay, very good. I obviously couldn't figure out what was going on. It wasn't too bad of a month, 72 pages or something like that, but there was about, I didn't really count, but 5 or 6 pages of that. And I'm like, well, I didn't really need to look this over.
yeah. Yep.
So, okay, good to hear. Thank you. Any questions from anybody? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent to payment vouchers as presented and reviewed.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Tom, second by Eric Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Next item is reports and updates. The May variance report. Brittany Altendorf, please.
In front of the committee today is the May variance report comparing our expenses and revenues in the general fund and the special education fund from the majority of the fiscal year, so July through May of 2025 compared to this time last year, so 11 months of our spending of last year. You can see that our spending is at 65%. And that is slightly lower than it is last year at 1.45% less, but that is $2 million more. So we are spending at less percent, but more money, and that is due to the increase in the budget. Also on here, it shows that our special education budget is spending at approximately $300,000 more, and you have seen that the past 3 or 4 months, I believe it's been spending at that same rate. And again, it is an increased budget compared to the previous year. This is the last report that I'm going to give during this fiscal year. We do get to spend through July 15th and expense those back to June 30th. So I'm doing a report in July. My fiscal year won't be completed, so I will probably do the next report out for the fiscal year end in August. The next category is the revenue section, which is in the middle of your report. As I've stated in previous reports, that our revenue comes in pretty much on a schedule. Our revenue has increased, and we have received about $2.3 million more this time than last year, and that coincides with the expenses that I just explained, that we've expensed about $2.3 million more than this time last year. And then special education budget is about $130,000 more than this time last year, or about 24% received. And then finally, the net fund balance, we're at about $4.6 million in our fund balance as of May 30th.
is that everyone's going to wonder about the fund balance, is that it looks like it's a lot lower than last year, but I think last year's might have had, it wasn't quite up to date when it was recorded.
Right,
So it's about the same as last year then?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yep, I think I'm good. Everyone else is good? Okay, good. All right. Next item, new business, 2025-2026 preliminary budget. Brittany Altendorf, please.
In June of every year, I come to the Finance Committee as well as the board for approval of the preliminary budget. We need to do this before July 1 so we can continue with our business. As you know, budgeting starts in January of every year and then concludes in October during our annual meeting and budget hearing. There always are unknowns at this time of the budget, so we do have projections. Some of those are student enrollment, open enrollment counts, voucher student counts, grant allocations, and insurance rates are unknown at this time. This is the 2025-26 will be the first year of the biennial budget, so there are additional unknowns at this time, which includes our state and federal funding, how much we are going to receive from the state and the federal government. So there are a lot of projections. We do have a very conservative budget when we are planning at this point in time. We have been informed that we are going to receive the additional $325 per student, but we also have been told that we are not necessarily going to receive more state aid. So even though our revenue allows us to increase our revenue limit by $325 per student, it's not going to be coming from the state, so that means it would be coming from the taxpayers, because those are our two buckets of revenue. So the authority's there, it's just going to be on the taxpayers. And then also, one thing we were informed with is that special education funding, they were trying to get that to increase. So special education is based on the previous year expenditures. Currently, we get 33.3% back the next year from our expenditures of the previous year. They wanted that to increase, but we have been informed as of now that's not going to be increasing. Some of the other areas that we have assumptions in are student enrollment. I work really closely with the teaching and learning department to see what enrollment we have and what students we have registered for next year. We always see an increase in August compared to what we have in our assumptions. So right now we do see a decrease in students, but we're going to keep track. We pull it every week. So I will keep track of that and adjust it in our budget as the weeks go on. Some of the other areas are, one of the areas that we might be considering, you can see that we are having a 0% increase in health insurance, which is saying that self-funded health insurance is working for our district. We might be projecting a 9.5% increase in dental insurance. That is only if we change the plan design. So we would be coming to the Personnel Committee and the Finance Committee if we do decide to increase the benefits for staff for dental insurance. And if we do, then we'd obviously have an increase in expenses. One of the other areas are, again, increasing Fund 41, which is capital projects, by the $50,000. We have been increasing that by $50,000 annually. This will get us back to the $600,000 mark that we were in 2020. We will then align it with the long-range facility plan that has been brought to the Buildings and Grounds Department. Property values, that is an estimate based on an average, so that is not anything set in stone right now, but it's based on a 3-year average. So that's built in there, and that will change the mill rate. Will not change our budget, but will change the mill rate. One of the other areas I was looking at is a flat for open enrollment in, and then a 16% increase on open enrollment out, and that is done just because I'm taking, again, an average over the years of what our open enrollment has been doing. And then finally, the declining enrollment exemption. If we have declining enrollment one year over another, we get an increased amount of revenue to just basically allow us to continue spending for that 1 year. If we do have a gap, we're only receiving the declining enrollment exemption because we have that declining enrollment at the top of my list. But as we believe, as August comes through, we will receive more students, which then will reduce the declining enrollment exemption. So I don't think that's going to be in there. It's just built in there right now. But I can answer any other questions regarding the assumptions that are in there. Otherwise, we are currently projected to have a surplus of about $80,000 built in right now with all these assumptions. So we are not seeing a deficit for next year. And again, these are very conservative assumptions, so I'm pretty positive our budget will be good for next year.
Okay, any questions, anyone? I have one question, towards the bottom of the page where you have state aid and 24.78% increase. You mentioned we weren't, while we're allowed a $325 per student, it's not coming from the state. So what does that state aid increase mean?
Sure. State aid is based on the previous year expenditures. So if your expenditures go up the previous year, it's kind of like special education fund. So even though our new money, like the $325,000 per student, which is called new money, is not coming from the state, but because our expenses increased from the previous year, you'll see an increase in your revenue in state aid. So the two are two completely different parts of the revenue formula, but we will be increasing the amount we get from the state due to our expenses, but not due to the $325 per student revenue we're going to receive.
Okay, makes perfect sense.
Does.
Anyone else? No questions? Okay, I will take a motion if that's the case.
I'll make a motion, excuse me, to approve the 2025-2026 preliminary budget as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Eric Brown, second by Tom Barney. Any further discussion? Russ?
You mentioned a potential change to dental. What's driving that thought process that we're pre-planning for that? And why the increase or potential increase?
Sure. One area that we are looking into is we have a wellness platform, and in our wellness platforms, which is based on health screenings, dental visits, some of the other exercise are some of the areas that we focus our wellness platform around, and looking into having our dental cleanings covered. Currently, they are covered, but they come out of your $1,000 allocation that you get for dental every year. And those would be covered 100% by the district because they would increase the amount of people that would go for our wellness. And then it would not go against the $1,000 out-of-pocket max, if I'm saying that correct. Out-of-pocket max?
It's not out-of-pocket max, it's just overall benefit. So it's $1,000 per individual. The dental premium hasn't changed for many years. And I think what drives a possible change is the possible scenario that Brittany is talking about and the comparable of what our benefit looks like relative to other districts.
Okay. Is this going to be an increase then for the district or the staff?
District.
Or both? Just the district?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, This motion isn't worded quite right, so I think we're going to have to amend it, possibly something like motion with a positive recommendation to bring to the full board to approve the 2025-2026 preliminary budget as presented.
I'll make a motion to the full board to bring forward the approval of the 2025-2026 preliminary budget as presented.
I'll second that, just from a policy or from a procedure standpoint. I think we should either handle it as like he should retract his original motion, or we should amend the motion that he made.
Right, I think that's what we're doing. So if you want to retract the original, let's word it properly. And
I think you have to just make the amendment from to propose a friendly amendment to your own motion. He could agree to, consider he seconded your first. Then you vote on the amendment and then vote on the motion as amended.
So the first amendment should be,
Nope, just
no amendment, just a motion.
make a motion to amend.
Oh, I'll make a motion to amend the original motion to approve the 2025-2026 preliminary budget as presented.
that's not the one. That's
You
not
need
the right
the-
wording.
Gotta go for a positive
Here,
recommendation. This is the big change you have to
Here,
make.
I thought we had to retract it first.
Nope, you're not
say what's in pen there.
Let's try this. I'll propose an amendment to the motion
There you go.
to have it read that we'll make a positive recommendation to the board to approve the 2025-2026 preliminary budget.
I will second that.
There you go.
Say it one more time.
Positive, an amendment to the original motion to have it read that we are going to have a positive recommendation to the full board to approve the 2025-2026 preliminary budget.
Okay. Okay, so we are voting on the.
Voting on the amendment.
Amended version,
No, voting on the amendment.
on the amendment, that's what I meant.
Yep, sorry. You're good.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Now, we
Now
can,
vote on the amended motion.
we can vote on the amended motion. All those in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Right. I don't know if I've got it written down here exactly, right? What was it again? What did you add to
I'll
it?
follow up with you after the meeting.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Next item, 7B, 2024-2025, committed fund balance. Brittany Altendorf and Jake Miziak, please.
In accordance with the Government Accounting Standards Board Statement Number 54, fund balance classifications are established to reflect the constraints placed on how resources can be used. The committed fund balance classification reflects funds that are designated for specific purposes as a result of a formal action taken by the school board. These constraints may only be changed or lifted through a similar formal action by the board. The district recommends committing fund balances or committing funds specifically for the purchase of reading curriculum materials to continue to support high-quality, standards-aligned literacy instruction. These materials will provide foundational reading instruction K-3 aligned with the science of reading. The committed fund balance would be expended following the 29-30 school year at the expiration of our Wonders and Study Sync agreements. So the proposal is, once our contracts are up, we last year engaged in a 6-year agreement with McGraw-Hill, Wonders, and Study Sync. In 6 years, we'll be in a similar position where we will be needing reading materials again. So the purpose for this committed fund balance is to start to prepare for that purchase that we will have in following the 29-30 school year.
Okay, very good. I do not recall ever doing this before, but I understand why. Any questions? Okay, I will take a motion.
Make a motion with a positive recommendation from the Finance Committee to the full board to commit the amount of $120,000 to the June 30th, 2025 General Fund Balance Subaccount Committed Fund Balance for the purchase of core literacy materials K through 8.
I will second.
Motion by Tom Barney, second by Eric Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Next item, 7C1, Next Path. Jake Miziak, please.
At the June Teaching and Learning Committee, we discussed Next Path, which is a student data and insight platform designed to provide educators with the necessary data to support instruction and student success. The system consolidates multiple sources of student information into dashboards and representations that allow educators to make informed decisions. Some of the key functions of NextPath is it's going to be able to provide our teachers with some actionable insights. It'll help us with the implementation of Act 20, our response to intervention, and our gifted and talented programming, and it'll equip educators with the tools to understand each student's rate of progress to determine specific needs. And again, one of the things that we discussed at the Teaching and Learning Committee was the nice connection that NextPath can make with our families, and it'll allow us to communicate with them the progress of their students.
Okay, any questions?
I do. I'll wait until after we have a motion.
Okay. I will take a motion.
Motion with a positive recommendation from the Finance Committee to the full board to approve the purchase of NextPath and professional development for an amount not to exceed $20,000 using a grant/general fund.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Tom Barney, second by Eric Brown. Any discussion? Yes,
Yes.
Tom?
Mr. Miziak, I noticed the quote was valid until last Friday. Do you anticipate any issues?
No, we already have an updated quote. The quote that I provided was the same one that was in the teaching and learning packet. We noticed that by the time we would place the order that that one would have expired. We have one that will run through the end of July.
Same pricing?
Same price.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Okay, item 7C2, 2025-2026, district copy paper purchase. Brittany Altendorf.
Coming to the Finance Committee as well as the board to get approval to purchase the copy paper for the 25-26 school year. Annually, we go out for bid. The vendors are listed in the packet, which include Contract Paper Group, Veritiv, and Complete Office of Wisconsin. We inform them of how much paper we are requesting. Obviously, if you get a full semi-truck load, the cost to get the whole load of paper, if you buy in bulk, is cheaper than if we buy it as the year goes on. So the best of prices that we received when we went out for bid, you can see in your packet, the current the current price for white paper is $29.55 per case compared to last year at $28.50 per case. And then the amount for color is $49.95 compared to $52.10 last year. In the 24-25 school year, we did consume about 4.8 million pieces of paper. We are asking the board to approve us to be able to purchase, if needed, 7 more pallets than we did get approved last year, because it seems like when we get close to the end of the year, the amount that was requested and the board approved in the previous year does get minimal at the end of the year. We did not run out of paper, and we have not run out of paper, but just having the ability at the beginning of the year, if we need the authority to get more paper, that we have it, and we don't have to come back for more approval. So that is why I'm asking for additional paper at this time, not stating that we will be purchasing it, just if it's needed, it won't have to be brought back to the committee.
Okay.
I'll be
very
happy
good.
to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Yes, Russ Ewert.
So what you just explained to me, if I was sitting in the audience, would make me think you have to come in front of us for approval to buy paper.
No.
Obviously, if it's under a certain dollar threshold, if we were getting low, you would easily be able to go buy more paper, correct?
Correct.
Without bringing it to I shouldn't say our attention, because it'll be approved through the voucher process, but you don't need our prior authority to do so.
Correct.
And I throw that out there because this is, I think, year 4 for me at this point, and the same conversation consistently at the end of the school year is, oh my God, we're running out of paper. And I know it's not true. I know we run low on paper, and by low I mean we are using what we have.
Right.
I don't think it's unfair for administration to inform staff, be conscious of your use of disposable materials, just like any other material. Doesn't mean we won't get more paper, or you won't get more paper. It doesn't mean the Budget Finance Office throws a fence around it and says, nobody can touch this, right? It's up to building administration to monitor their usage and report back, and if the need is there, provide it. But it's also up to administration's responsibility to communicate to staff, hey, we're using at an accelerated rate, we'll look into why,
Right.
and that's fine. We'll get more if we need it.
Right.
But can we check in and make sure we're not overly printing for reasons unknown or unneeded?
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with that approach. It's a continuous frustration for me to hear from this seat, and from sources that don't fully understand the process, and from sources that want to bash or belittle administrative decisions. None of that's the case. But I just wanted to clarify, you don't have to come in front of us to buy more if you need it. So you have a dollar amount. Mr. Wills, what's that dollar amount?
15,000.
Okay. I think we could buy a lot of paper if need be without walking in front of us. So I
Right.
just wanted to make that crystal clear for anyone that still has concerns on paper levels in this district.
Right.
Thank you.
Tom?
In the background here, it says 26 pallets of white and 5 pallets of color. Does that include the additional 7 that you anticipate we may need to buy in the future?
Yes, last year it was approved at 24 pallets, so, yes,
Got
correct.
it. Thank you.
Yeah, this process is perfectly all right. I think buying paper by the semi-load is, for a school district this size, is perfect. It's the right way to do it. And have I mentioned Wisconsin is the #1 paper producing state in the nation? It is. Doesn't produce more than China, but it's close. That's an impressive number. Okay, I'll take a motion.
I'll bring forward to the Board of Education with a positive recommendation from the Finance Committee to purchase white paper from Complete Office of Wisconsin at the price of $29.55 per case, and purchase color paper from
Veritiv?
at the price of $49.95 per case.
Second.
Okay, motion by Eric Brown, second by Tom Barney. And yes, for many years I couldn't say Veritiv either when reading the motion. Tom? Yes, Tom Barney?
Yes. Given this motion, if it passes, there are no limits whatsoever. So if
Yes.
it turns out that we need 30 pallets of paper, I say they can get purchased.
Correct. That's why the motion was written that way.
Okay, very
That's all.
good. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. And item 7C3, hydroponic gardens. Jill Seefeld. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Okay,
Seatbelt.
good. I'm always worried. It's a name I don't see every board meeting or every finance committee meeting. Okay, thank you, Jill.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I'm looking for your approval and then the school board's approval for the construction project of Classroom A102 and the purchase of 10 Flex Farm units for a hydroponic vegetable garden at Germantown High School. We're planning to partner with the science department, the environmental club, in which the students will maintain, grow, and harvest the produce. All produce will be served in the lunch program throughout the school district. Fork Farms also provides K-12 curriculum free of charge for this project. Total cost of the project is not to exceed $125,000. Cost of the 10 Flex Farms is approximately $64,000, and the remainder is for the construction of the classroom, for the electrical, the plumbing, the flooring. All necessary quotes were included in your packet. The entire project will be funded by using excess funds from Food and Nutrition Department. Any questions that you have for me?
Will the work be completed over this summer?
Correct, and it should be up and running by the first day of school.
Okay,
Yep.
very good.
Okay, if you don't have any questions, I do have a couple guests with me tonight. I have Josh Malik and Nina Loomis, and they are with Fork Farms, and they have a short presentation to share with you.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Malik. I'm the Partnership Development Director for Fork Farms, and Nina Loomis is here with me as well.
I think, hang on just a second, we gotta see if your mic is on. We don't think it is.
I think we can hear you, people at home might not be able to hear you.
What's up? Down, Heather.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Nope.
Nothing?
Would you prefer to sit here?
Yes, I can just sit there.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Perfect.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm really grateful to be here. Jill's been amazing to work with and has really painted a very cool vision of utilizing our technology within the high school. We put together a PowerPoint presentation for you to both describe our company, explain how we structure these types of programs, and what the benefits can be for the district. Case in point, our focus is giving students opportunities for hands-on learning, specifically in the world of STEM, but also any functional approach to producing their own food directly within their classroom. We own a utility patent based around this very simple concept of vertical hydroponic farming, where we can yield about 43 times more fresh food per square foot than traditional farming. And here in Wisconsin, we're able to grow that fresh food year-round. Our focuses from environmental to student impact to climate change, et cetera, are all, amazing. But really, I think the focus here is giving students the opportunity to engage with the growing process and to provide our students with the healthiest, freshest food possible by growing it directly in the school. We have about 1,600 Flex Farms within the state of Wisconsin. Our headquarters are in Green Bay at Titletown Tech. Recently, we participated in Taste of the Draft for the NFL draft. I will actually be at the SNA conference in San Antonio in July, all focused around our activities of, again, providing fresh food accessibility, primarily through actually putting the capacity for growing that fresh food directly within the building. I do have a few images. If you're able to move forward to, I think it's about slide 9. That'll be the wireframe of the actual installation that'll be going into Germantown High School, if approved. The focus here is we're able to grow about 25 pounds of dark leafy greens per flex farm. So with what has been proposed and designed both by our team and working with the team at Germantown, we're able to grow about 3,000 servings of fresh leafy greens per month. Comparable, just from a financial perspective, we have partners in Ashwaubenon, Elmbrook, et cetera, throughout the state that run a similar program, a little bit of a different layout, but they net about $55,000 in dark leafy greens every year. So it's actually a cost savings for the district after the initial investment. And it gives students the opportunity to engage with the technology, integrate science education and our NGSS-aligned curriculum directly into the programming the teachers are already doing. So this will be something that can impact all the students in the high school. They can have access to the leafy greens that's grown by students, and just, provide a great opportunity that most students within our state haven't had the opportunity to do yet. So we decided as a team that it would be best to offer to answer any questions you might have, either about the technology, about the project itself, how many students we might be able to feed, and just support Jill kind of through the journey of implementing this project. I will comment that we can grow a wide variety of crops. We specifically talk about dark leafy greens because there are USDA mandates associated with the number of servings students are required to have, and it's the fastest growing, most productive crop in our systems. But we can grow everything from bush beans to culinary herbs to fruiting plants, and students will have the opportunity to engage with that process and learn along the way. So I want to be respectful of your time, but if you do have any questions, we'd love to answer them and look forward to partnering with you.
Tom Bernie.
With a $125,000 project cost, when, if ever, could we see the break-even point?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The majority of the cost is in the construction, right? So the changing of this space. But based on a comparable installation, we were looking at about $55,000 of net leafy green production. Jill, did you want to comment at all based on your costs for dark leafy greens?
I briefly mentioned it in the buildings and grounds.
Can you go to the microphone?
Over there.
I briefly talked about it a little bit in the Buildings and Grounds Committee. We probably spend about $16,000 to $18,000 a year on leafy greens. Not always the best quality. There's a lot of waste. Once the bag is opened, it only lasts for a day or so. Then we're disposing of it. Comes in wet sometimes, where with Fork Farms, the quality of the lettuce that's being grown will last, I heard, 3 to 4 weeks. Is actually storage time on the lettuce, so.
Well, obviously the cost savings is huge, but also just having that fresh vegetables and the taste and the nutrients that are in those are obviously higher quality than what we're going to get. My question is, we had talked a little bit about in the summertime what that looked like as far as kind of potentially shutting them off for the summer. Is then there a startup kind of cost as far as you're going to have new plants or seeds? What does that look like as far as starting it up, and what do you do with the plants that are kind of there at the end of the school year?
I can answer first. As far as like startup and shutdown, we're able to completely drain the system for summer break if desired, and restart then again in the fall. The consumables and seed packets and everything else are actually budgeted already. So from a startup cost, there's no cost from us, but certainly, we will have Nina and our support team available to start up or shut down the system as necessary.
So do you provide all of the seeds, and does anything start from actual plants?
Yeah, we do provide the seeds. We are not the K-Cup model, though, however. We love it if people want to, source their own seeds or use grandma's heirloom tomato seeds, et cetera. But we do provide them, yes.
Do The only question I had was about variety, and I think you've answered it. I think the intent here is just, at least for starters anyway, just the leafy greens in our
Correct.
facility. Okay. I'm not sure when it'll be practical, but I think at some point we need to have a board meeting in the cafeteria so we can test out the product. Obviously, the only purpose of the meeting is for lunch, but I do really want to try this stuff, if you know what I mean. Our students are eating it, so I think we at least need to test it. I'm sure it'll be great, but yeah, the salad club. But yeah, I think we need, it's difficult to get the board all together in one spot, you know, on the same day for a building tour, for example. So it won't be an easy thing to do, but I think we can pull it off sometime, you know, for a luncheon at the high school here.
Yes, that would be great to actually have a field trip to the classroom to actually be able to see it growing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, very good.
And I could throw together a salad for you and
Yes,
so you can taste it.
Tom Barney?
Yeah, what's the ongoing cost from an electrical standpoint and water consumption to keep the system operational?
Yeah, I can comment on that. We have a pro forma that we'd be happy to share. Hydroponics, specifically our platform, uses about 98% less water than traditional agriculture. So that doesn't really factor in. Water's not a huge cost as it is. The
You
majority.
don't live in Germantown.
I'm sorry?
You don't live in Germantown.
That's true. I live on the east side, so yeah. But electricity, we have that actually in the documentation. You're welcome to see it. The easy math on our production capacity is that we can produce for about 67 cents a pound. So when comparing that versus what you're purchasing wholesale, that's the best delta, right? To look at what it actually costs all in, including electrical, consumables, water, et cetera.
All right, thank you.
Eric Brown?
Part of that electrical cost and other costs is a water heater. Do these hydroponic farms need a certain temperature, or?
The water heater that I'm looking at is on the wall, and that's for hand washing purposes only.
I couldn't figure out why it was on like.
That's what the water, yeah, that's the water heater for.
It is a good question. Actually, one of the reasons it's so cost effective to grow hydroponically is because we're leveraging the existing HVAC within the building, right? So kind of that room temperature is ideal for this type of production.
Russ, you were,
There's an educational component to this, and obviously we're talking a lot of the finance side of it here, and I think we talked a little bit more of this in the initial presentation, but if you could cover some of that, how it could be utilized within the school district.
Absolutely, I'd love to. So we have a platform called Farmative. It's available both as an app and as an online platform. Every teacher within the district is able to have access to this platform. It has 44 NGSS-aligned curriculum items that are age-banded. 11 of those would be high school age group, but they can be utilized all the way down through kindergarten. We also have after-school learning activities, so shorter form lessons if there's summer programming or after-school lessons that these would want to be used for. We have YouTube videos for every step of the process, grow guides for different crops, and a community of about 1,700 growers currently. The vast majority of those are also educators, so an opportunity for teachers to collaborate with teachers who are growing in California or growing strawberries in Florida. Kind of creates a community of growers. And again, all of that is free and accessible to anyone within the district.
Thank you. I guess it adds that just to highlight that there's multiple phases, or not phases, but multiple investments at hand here, right? And from an educational standpoint, from a resource standpoint for our food and nutrition program. Obviously, we want to know at what point can we recoup the investment, but there's also that educational investment that will continue to grow, so.
Absolutely. And long-term, there's additional opportunities. We actually have a partnership with Rockwell Automation on a industry-recognized credential for PLC programming and automation. So those type of opportunities will present themselves as well if the district's interested.
Did somebody plant Rockwell
I'm sorry?
Have you mentioned Rockwell?
No, no.
I work for Rockwell.
Oh, are you familiar with Clock Tower Farms?
No, I'm actually in MEC 1
Oh,
at
okay.
the Drives Division.
Cool. Yeah, we're actually working on a 7,200 square foot commercial growing program on the 4th floor of the clock tower.
Oh, nice. I didn't know anything about it. I have a question. Is there any fertilizer or anything required?
Yes, so we provide, it's essentially a chelated mineral substrate, which just means it's not petroleum-based, but it'd be the ions required by the plant to grow, so calcium, magnesium, et cetera. It's a nutrient A and a nutrient B. They're used in equal parts, and the students actually do the dosing of the nutrients directly into the water, and they measure the parts per million concentration of the nutrients, and it's part of the growing experience.
Okay, so our water with these nutrients and we're good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Okay. I guess I'll take a motion.
Motion with a positive recommendation to the Board of Education to approve the construction project of classroom A102 and to purchase 10 Fork Farms Flex units for a hydroponic vegetable garden at GHS with a not-to-exceed cost of $125,000 funded from the food and nutrition budget.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Tom Barney, second by Eric Brown. Any further discussion? I think last comment I have is the only place I've seen hydroponics was at Disney World, and it's been the same display for just about forever, I think. So I didn't really, I was not aware of this system that is going in here. So I'm kind of impressed that it's even possible to do in a school like this. And also, I'm a little surprised that there. What did you say? How many school districts in Wisconsin are?
We have 1,600 total systems. I think it's about 750 total partners, but that includes school districts, hunger relief organizations, hospitals. We work in a wide variety of different markets, but about 70% of our market is
Okay.
K through 12.
Yeah, bigger, much bigger than I thought or that I knew of. Okay, very good. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us.
I think I have one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Tom Barney, second by Eric Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:47 p.m. Thank you.